Let's talk now to Dr. Tony Agbons, researcher, senior lecturer at the Anglia Ruskin University in London. He joins us virtually from there. Good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Ladi. This morning.
Nice to see you once again.
Thank you.
Let's begin with this Nord Stream pipeline controversy, shall we? When it happened in September last year, all eyes turned to Russia. Everyone expected and thought, they were the natural suspects. But it does seem as if the information that is now coming out is referencing some other suspects, if you like. What do you make of the whole thing?
Yeah, thank you. I think when this explosion, happened in November last year, like you have rightly said, a lot of, watchers actually believe that this was, something that the Russians have done, because we all know the strategic importance of that pipeline. But event of the last few days is beginning to show that it probably could have been, one of those events that we will refer to, analysts like us refer to as the intrigues of war. Because now there is this challenge of the Russians accusing the West of being, the perpetrators of this pipeline blast. They are, on the other hand, the Russians are also suspecting forces, loyal to Ukraine as being the culprit. And then the West are also saying they didn't do it. So at the moment, nobody is really sure what is going on. And like I was saying in your report before I came on, even the U.S., defense, officials are saying that investigation is ongoing. I'm sure that in the next few days, we'll really get to know who was responsible for this Nord Stream pipeline blast.
There are a lot of reports of different types of sabotage. Just as we were trying to digest the one on the Nord Stream, then came the one of the alleged drone attack in Belarus, which Belarus is blaming Ukraine for. And Ukraine is saying, no, we don't know anything about it. But Belarus is insisting, and they said they've detained a couple of suspects in that regard. Do you think this issue of sabotage is going to assume central position in this war as opposed to, battlefield movements? Because it seems as if more and more now it's this hit and run, shall we say, under the table attacks, whoever is doing them, that seem to be taking center stage.
To be honest, Ladi, at the stage the war is now, today is the 387 of this war. Last month was the first anniversary, of this invasion of Ukraine by Russia.
Absolutely.
Russia, I think they are at a point in the war where they don't even know whether to stop it or whether they are to continue, because this was supposed to be a 2 or 3 weeks military operation, but the thing is stretching beyond their limit. So where we are now, just like other crises we've had in the world previously, if you look at the history of wars, First World War, Second World War, and other military wars that have taken place in the past, it gets to a stage now where it's going to be propaganda, sabotage, who makes the more noise, because there's going to be a lot of sentiment and emotions coming in. I must tell you, with Nord Stream pipeline coming back, to the headlines, with this attack on Belarus, nations, who have just been, onlookers, they will now begin to take sides. If you notice, Iran is becoming really very prominent in this crisis. China, they are continuing their hanky-panky. Even some African countries, you saw the other day, Russian foreign minister was in South Africa. He got a very, very, very warm and sweet reception over there. So you see that the dynamics of this war, like you have put it, Ladi, is shifting more from the battleground to the propaganda level.
Let me bring you to Britain, because, of course, one of those who was quite prominent, one of the countries that were quite prominent at the start and in the course of the battle was the United Kingdom. We remember Boris Johnson's several visits to Kiev and the pledges of money and equipment. But it does appear as if the current Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has taken a slightly, more somber tone about this. He hasn't been extremely vocal or flamboyant about what is happening with Britain and the Ukraine situation. Perhaps that is expected, right?
Yeah, absolutely expected. And I think you mentioned it in one of the broadcasts. I was here when you said exactly what you are saying now. It is expected, and I would not really blame the current Prime Minister of the UK. He's battling with a lot of economic issues here, trying to sort that out. And I must also tell you that this Russia-Ukraine crisis is doing a lot of damage to the UK economy. So it is expected. But that is not to say that the support by the UK government has waned in any form. If you recall, recently the Ukrainian president was in the United Kingdom. He visited His Royal Majesty King Charles III, and he addressed a session of the UK Parliament here in London. So that relationship is there, but there seems to be a much, I would say, a much, relaxed approach compared to what Boris Johnson was doing from this current UK Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. But one other thing I also believe that Rishi Sunak is doing, he is really pushing for kind of a diplomatic solution. I'm aware that he's been having some undercutting meetings and phone calls to world leaders, especially the US president, the French president Macron, and then the German chancellor as well. So all these are some of the diplomatic activities that Sunak is doing behind the scene. But the UK support, training of Ukraine military personnel, equipment, that is still very, very much ongoing.
The visuals we had on the screen a couple of minutes ago was showing Mr. Sunak with Mr. Zelensky during Mr. Zelensky's visit, which you referenced there to the United Kingdom. So if we go back to those visuals, that seemed to have been some level of camaraderie, not at the level, of course, as you pointed out, of the level of Boris Johnson, but there seems to have been some camaraderie between Rishi Sunak and Volodymyr Zelensky. But I want to, talk to you a little bit about that aspect of the military support which Britain is providing, because part of what we can see in the visuals there is an examination of tanks and other pieces of equipment and all of that. And one is wondering, how much of that do you see going on behind the scenes? You talked about the fact that Mr. Sunak is also trying to see whether there's another way out of this, but that the support continues. How much of that are you really seeing? Because the last we heard, Britain was to send Challenger 2 tanks. Have they done so? Do you know?
Yeah, I would say I'm not really sure if the Challenger 2 tanks have been supplied. I think some of this military hardware takes time to put together, and some other logistics behind it do take some time. But I don't really see the UK, doubling down on its support for Ukraine. I don't see it happening because of, and the reason for this is is a kind of a political thing, because the United Kingdom and its allies will not want a situation where the Russians win this war. So that support is not going to go down. The measure of it may vary from what Boris Johnson probably would have done. Because if you look at the UK population, everyone is supporting the government on this. The United Kingdom, as a bastion of democracy, support freedom and nations making their choices on their own. So the UK government is not going to back down. But there's been some kind of low-level activity going on as far as
I don't know if Dr. Agbos, are you still there? Okay, it looks like we've lost Dr. Agbos. We'll probably get back to it if we can, but let's take a break at this point. The Russian court is jailing a defiant activist opposed to Ukraine's war for more than 8 years. Details in a moment. Please stay on with us. Welcome back, and I'm glad to say that we've got Dr. Agbos back with us after that slight disruption. Welcome back, Dr. Agbos. Before that happened, you were concluding the point about what you said was, cross-party support for Ukraine in the UK.
Yes, thank you, Ladi. I hope you can hear me now. Yeah,
absolutely.
So that support from both political leaders in the UK population, everybody believes that it is the right thing to do to protect the sovereignty of the nation of Ukraine.
Let's look at the economic cost, though, because this support has come, apart from the money that has been sent to Ukraine and the cost of the equipment, training, and all of that, it has come with some significant economic costs. We talk about Nord Stream gas pipeline. Britain was one of the countries that was affected by that. The cost of gas has gone up. You and I have spoken about that several times, and the impact it has had on household incomes and expenditure. And then not too long ago, as recent as just under a week ago, the question of rationing of products, essential consumer items started. I don't know if you know about that and how that has gone down. And then there was strikes by different essential service workers over the issue of pay.
Yes, thank you, Ladi. Just as you have said, this crisis in Russia and Ukraine has really damaged the UK economy. Not just the UK, even some other European countries. But because I'm based in the UK, I'll focus on the UK. So with the energy crunch, the high cost of energy, businesses are reeling, and this has greatly affected the supply chain. It has affected productive activities, and this has led to inflationary trend. Cost of goods and services has gone up economically. So that has had a very, very painful effect on the UK population and UK economy. So when you look at the issue of gas supply from that Nord Stream pipeline, it affected the UK. Recently, there was this rationing. As I speak to you, a lot of retail outlets in the UK, there is a shortfall in the supply of groceries, even things as, as easy, like we say, as vegetables. They are not as, as easy to get in some of the big UK grocery shops. So all this is happening. And then when you come to the internal economic dynamics here in the UK, the strikes have been ongoing. In fact, as I speak to you, junior doctors are going to go on strike next week. Nurses, although consultations are ongoing, they want to still go on strike. Rail workers, driving test examiners, civil servants, teachers in primary and secondary school, university workers, ambulance staff, all this, they are all, angling to go on strike. So, and when you look at it, all these are a fallout of this war. And that is why the earlier this crisis is brought to an end, the better for everyone.
Indeed, we all look forward to a quick resolution as speedy as possible, just like you. Dr. Tony Agbons at the Anglia Ruskin University in London, thank you so much, as always, for your time and perspective on the program.
Thank you, Ladi, and have a great day.
You too.